more shrimp tacos and some strawberries for dessert. And you can see that I just put a little jalapeno on the side because they put that with this mix, but James doesn't like it.
Well, my stomach doesn't like it.
James might review those. But we're going to review The Road to Oz. And there's my dinner, which 87 cents for 4 of those yogurts is a pretty great deal. And I guess that should work out. So we were just hiking, and it's funny because James had a headache to begin with this morning, and now I have one. So I got a little bit too much sun. It just happens. I did pack water along.
We must have drunk all of it, right?
Huh?
Between the two of us, we drank all of it.
Yeah. I should have brought the bigger bottle, I guess, but anyway. Next time we'll each bring one. So, I'm going to read my poem first. And this is called Strawberries and Ultraviolet, which I wrote April 6, 2025, and so earlier this year. And this was the earliest I've ever seen a bee, I think, a honeybee in my yard. But that's not to say that everything's early this year. Like James was saying, oh, everything seems early. Like we saw a butte primrose blooming on the slope at Pavant. And I mean, you could probably see behind me the lilacs are blooming, the cherries, the apples, you know, lots of blooms. But it seems like everything's blooming at once. Like that some things are later than normally, like the tulips are blooming in my yard right now. But so many other things are blooming too. So anyway, we're seeing a lot of birds today, and we saw quite a few bees, but they wouldn't stay still for me.
Well,
so
they were having trouble finding the flowers.
They were, yeah.
We watched one poor bee who was going around and round and round. And we took a few steps, and there were all sorts of, well, maybe it was 100 meters away. Yeah. There was a nice patch of buffalo bees. I guess if it kept on going, it would have run into something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but bees are, when they go out on their outings, I guess they go for the same type of flower every time?
Well, in any particular time.
Yeah, when they go out and make their rounds. So that bee might have found one particular flower and then wants to keep finding that same flower, but honestly, there were a lot of buffalo beans. Just go for that.
Well,
I don't know why.
Where she was at, we didn't see any flowers, really.
Oh, that's true. That's
no.
Anyway, so this poem, I wrote Strawberries and Ultraviolet. It must have been when we went to the Salvation Army last, because we only get strawberries from them because strawberries are expensive, and so that's how we get our strawberries. So we haven't had strawberries since April 6, 2025, and now here we're having it again. So because we've been allowed to go to the Salvation Army to get food once a month. So the rest of the time, I just get the discount stuff from Shoppers Drug Mart. Like I got a jug of milk for James for 99 cents today, and that's because he's eating hot food. So if you're eating spicy food and he's abandoned he's went right for the food and not the dandelion again today.
I did the same thing. I can't resist
I'll have
shrimp.
to put that back in the fridge. But you might be thinking, oh, food's so hot, I need more water to drink. That won't help you. What you need is milk. So if you're eating spicy food, go for milk, not for water, and you'll be fine. But anyway, so I wrote this poem last time we had strawberries, and I guess I'll just read it to you now. Yesterday was for the bees. We had some berries on a plate, some hydroponic strawberries, so red and plump and truly great. A bee was there, excitedly investigating every one. I wondered what that bee could see in berries warming in the sun. Bees don't see red as humans do, and yet the berries brought her by. Perhaps an undetected hue had caught that little honey's eye. An ultraviolet strawberry had drawn a honeybee to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. I should have brought out the great course that I learned that from. It's one about insects. So,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, there's a poem where you can learn stuff from.
Yeah.
And don't kid yourself, folks. There's a lot of artistry that went into that. It seems simple, but Pauline had to sweat. Well, no, figuratively sweat.
I had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. You have to. Like a lot of the time, I remember I was watching a Rizzoli and Isles episode where, I guess it would have been Isles, who was doing trying to learn how to write poetry. She was taking a course after work or whatever, and she had an assignment and she was having a tough time with it, and she wrote a poem, and her rhythm was right and everything, but the poem was boring. She didn't like it, and then she decided, oh well, poetry. She got some advice from somebody who didn't know anything about poetry in the show, and they said, oh, poetry, it's free of form, and and what. No, it's actually not. You have to actually learn how to write, how to use rhythm and control it, so that it doesn't control you, the rhythm and the rhymes. Because otherwise, your poems will suck. So, a lot of times, I think people just go, oh, I'm writing the rhythm and rhyme, and my poems suck. Yeah, you have to keep practicing.
So they go, poetry
So
sucks.
yeah, it's better to just do without it and be free of rhythm and rhyme. And no, then you're not writing poetry.
It's like saying, I'm going to dance, but I'm not going to do any rhythm. You try that.
Yeah.
Doing the Charlie Manson chicken dance and try to get someone to take you seriously.
Honestly, there's some really, really bad movements that way too. And you've seen it with the modern dancing. It's just terrible.
Well, there's better and there's way better. Okay. There's worse. But what I'm talking about is the Charlie Manson chicken dance, like where people are just. But modern dance is
bad.
It's not that good.
All right, so yeah, we. One thing, I think my angels were giving me a bit of a joke today, putting the banana flavored yogurt on sale for 87 cents for 4 of these little cups. Because I can't stand the taste of bananas. I hate the taste, I hate the smell, I hate everything about bananas. And, okay, I don't hate everything. I like the fact that they come in a peel, so you don't have to touch the thing. So you can actually pack it around, drop it on the ground, whatever, and you don't have to worry about it. It's still going to be clean.
The other thing to be said about the peel is, not like an orange peel. Banana peels come off pretty easily.
You're right, yeah. And anyway, so Salvation Army, we went and got food, and they gave me a couple bananas, bunches. And I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking, oh, I hate bananas, but James will eat them and whatever.
I think it was 3 bunches, actually.
Well, it was a couple, and then she said, do you want another bunch? We have a lot of these. And I'm like, okay, and thank you, whatever. And I'm just thinking, God, I don't even want one, but I don't want to seem like, I want to seem like I'm grateful for all the food I can get, but I can't stand these bananas, and now I'm having to eat them. And I think I've had 4 within the last 24 hours. I can't stand them.
It's a bit much, but...
Yeah. But anyway, so I put some mango.
I've been going along eating 2 minimum a day. So 2.5 maybe a day. But I'm older, so everybody's older than Pauline. Bananas can upset your stomach. They kind of get acidic.
They don't do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is I end up getting Charlie horses at night. I used to eat a lot of bananas when I was young. I don't know how, because now I can't stand them. But when I was young, I could eat lots of bananas. I'd just, I'd eat them in smoothies. I'd make myself smoothies all the time. So chuck a banana in there and some other fruit. Good to go.
You need bananas if you're going to be physically active.
And I was very physically active. That might be it.
You found that when you ate a lot of bananas,
I'd get Charlie horses at night.
So you need them to prevent Charlie horses, but I guess you can overdose on them. See what I'm saying?
Oh, it's horrible. I hate Charlie horses. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to down a bunch of water to try to get rid of this headache. So I don't know if you noticed the cover of this, The Road to Oz, but on the cover,
it's not the original.
No, it's no. I didn't have, like, I borrowed these from the library, and some of them I managed to get the copies with the illustrations and stuff that James likes to read, and so then I read the books that don't have the illustrations. You know, he likes the looking at. I find just imagining the people the way, whatever. But here, whoever drew this picture, I don't know if they were really paying attention to the book, because
there are a variety of things. So let's have you count the ways.
Oh, you already thought of this cover, how this doesn't work. Well, one, the Emerald City is up on a tower. I don't know what's going on with that.
I didn't even know that was the
That's
Emerald
ridiculous.
City. That's it's right there.
The Rainbow's daughter is a young woman here, and she's not. She's a little girl that dances around.
She's
in the
quite small
book.
That's what she's described specifically. How about Dorothy's age there? Little. I mean, it's more like in the movie than in the actual.
Yeah, I don't know. She might have been this old by this point in the story. I don't know, but I doubt it.
I don't.
She has ruby red slippers on, which is stupid, because you'd get.
It's based on the movie. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, but she wouldn't. She could be wearing red slippers in this book, which.
Because she lost her flying slippers.
Yeah, so these aren't
ones.
magical slippers anyway. But they've just made her have red shoes so that she'd look like Dorothy in the movie, right?
How about Button Bright?
Well, he's supposed to look like a little blonde cherub.
And he's supposed to be a small little.
He's just a tiny little guy.
Yeah.
And so.
And they don't have a sailor hat on.
No.
How about Toto?
Well,
Toto kind of looks like Toto, both in the movie and in the original illustrations. I guess that's the yellow brick road.
And honestly, while they were walking along, Button Bright had a fox head anyway, so I don't know. But anyway, not right at all. The cover is totally wrong.
So that's a spoiler alert.
So this copy of this book, I would say, don't get this one. Get a different copy. Try to borrow a different copy.
It's probably well out of print. I'm guessing it's about 1975.
But this one was Theodore from Sterling.
1985. Theodore Brandley. Library. Sterling, thank you, Sterling Library.
Yeah. But
because we've got other stuff from there.
Yeah.
Too.
So the last book that we reviewed, I didn't like that one. I didn't like this one. Or I liked this one. Yeah, the story. The last story that we reviewed from last.
I liked it, but not as much.
I didn't like it. And this one I liked less. This one was terrible, actually. I really didn't like the way Dorothy was being such a jerk. I didn't like the way the Scarecrow and Dorothy were calling Button Bright stupid.
Well, that
it was rude. And I mean, he's just a little guy.
I'm saying I don't know. But,
yeah, and a lot of times when people are nervous, when they're when they don't know people well, or
he's lost too. He's got to be stressed
out. And he's
Mm-hmm.
They don't really want to talk, and if you make them feel stupid, they'll clam up even more. So maybe that was L. Frank Baum's point in this, because he had the Scarecrow, who is not smart, and Dorothy, who is not smart. I mean, people speak differently differently in different places. So maybe her accent, whatever.
It's not really an accent. She
But
does things like...
she does things, she'll say things incorrectly, like gargoyles, gurgles, right?
yeah, well,
Which is kind of cute, but it's not smart.
Well,
So
she's
to
young.
have her...
She's a lot younger than she's portrayed in the movie.
Yes, but she's older than Button Bright. And so maybe L. Frank Baum was trying to point that out. You know, maybe he was trying to say, look, Dorothy and the Scarecrow aren't that bright, and they're the ones who are putting this little boy down, you know. And
I didn't get that impression, but it could be true.
Maybe. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, because otherwise I'm just very dissatisfied with the book. So, because that was...
Yeah, she's quite young. You know, one of my favorite...
I no longer like Dorothy and the Scarecrow.
One of my favorite little bits of talking on... Ordinarily, I don't like talking music. Is Steve Miller. He was, I think, the godson of Les Paul. The guy who, I think, is credited with inventing the electric guitar. So they have Les Paul talking to Steve Miller when he's young. Mm. So they don't have Steve Miller singing, but until the end, you know, like Les Paul is saying, you keep doing that, you're really good, and all that sort of stuff. So eventually Steve Miller goes, la, 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 la. But before he says that is, the more I do it, which is singing, the more embarrassed I get. So he's doing the same thing that Frank L. Baum has. He has her dropping a lot of the unaccented syllables at the beginning of longer words. Embarrassed instead of embarrassed. That's what Steve Miller says. And he's not this age as portrayed in that
Well, it
picture.
didn't bother me that Dorothy did that until this book where she's putting down Button Bright all the time. I mean, who would call a little boy stupid? To his face, repeatedly. It's horrible.
Yeah, something wrong.
And the story was boring. I don't care about some big
it was a little
birthday
boring.
party, whatever.
There wasn't enough excitement. Particularly again, like where they have the birthday party and stuff like that. They, you know, they have to be confronting some sort of danger. It doesn't have to be enemies or whatever. You know, to maintain excitement.
But maybe L. Frank Baum was like, oh, I hate writing these stupid Oz stories at this point.
Possible. This was 10 years in, I think. This might have been. No, the next one, I think, was...
Because he brought up Santa Claus in this one, and he wrote some Santa Claus books. Maybe he...
Oh, had he?
Yeah. So maybe he was like, I want to be writing Santa Claus books and not the stupid Oz stuff anymore. I don't know. Because this one sucked.
Maybe he was doing the Marvel thing, a little bit of a crossover.
Yeah.
Marvel would do that. It's pretty smart marketing, right?
Yeah.
So they were the little kids on the block in the 60s. And they would have Hulk visiting Thor, visiting Spider-Man, or whatever. And made for some amazingly silly stories when you look at the difference in powers between the various superheroes, but it worked. Marvel in the 60s was a publishing juggernaut, right?
So, I don't know what else to talk about.
Deservedly so, I should say, because they actually, some of their characters had real characters. It was real, as comic books did. And they had plot lines, and Stan Lee knew how to write dialogue.
Oh, I was going to put flower petals on your...
No, tacos, eh?
Yeah, there's edible flowers right now behind me. You didn't know lilacs are edible?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm used to you giving me
I've
nasturtiums.
given you lilacs before to eat. Yeah, they're edible.
I'm used to thinking about nasturtiums.
Yes. And what else? The violets. I think there might be violets in there. Still, I could have looked and then made it really pretty. Anyway.
When you
want
start
me to fill
eating,
that up?
no, I'm just moving it out of there. No.
Okay.
See, got chest. I'm not doing this complicated. The other thing, move ahead. But when you start eating plants, there aren't the usual thing, like spinach. Try to make sure you know what you're doing. Don't go around eating elm leaves or whatever. Was it elm leaves that caused that reaction with someone that we...
Yes, she was, and I feel bad about it because I know she was doing it because of something I said, because I was talking about Essiac, and with her in the library I was looking up Essiac, and so I was talking, she would have been asking me, well, what did you do today or whatever. Oh, well, I was looking up, and so I talked to her about that, and one of the ingredients in Essiac is slippery elm bark. So,
bark, not leaves, folks.
Yeah. And it's a different kind of elm. So
it is.
So she was eating elm leaves, and it was at a time when they were doing injections on the elms to control insects.
So she was getting an insecticide.
That's my guess as to what was happening. I mean, I don't know that it's good to eat elm, like American elm leaves anyway. But she did all sorts of things. And some of the things I'm sure were pretty healthy. But it's good to really know what you're
ingesting.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's great to eat as much like wild like food that you know where it's grown and how it's grown and whatever, but like in your yard and whatever.
But if you're dealing with city trees, the stuff gets treated and you don't know exactly.
And I'm not saying that food that you buy is necessarily very healthy either. Some of it. I mean, I've gained a lot of weight this week. I wonder what that was. It sounded like a dog.
It was a dog, yeah.
Poor guy.
I think it maybe got high-centered being put in the car.
Yes. Maybe it's just excited, James.
Could be. Yeah.
Maybe they're going to a dog park and it sounds unhappy, but sometimes dogs just sound unhappy. So, anyway, I moved the plants around today. I can talk about that while James is eating, because I don't want to. Yesterday I left and he was, I left him chewing, and so I had to listen to him chewing for a while, because that doesn't work really. It's always good to have two people for talking for dinner.
While I was eating,
but you might have noticed that the plants have changed behind me. Well, I put them in different spots. So some are in the porch and some are out here. And I put less on this side than I did before, because I came out this morning and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to do something about that, or bad things are going to happen. I was worried about, well, mainly my dog Alpha's, because he is, for some reason, he likes eating tomato leaves, so that's a problem.
He's something of a part-time vegetarian.
Yeah, but the leaves.
Yeah.
So, and he did that when he was a puppy, and I thought he was going to die. I was really worried about that. But the deer do it too. Like in James's yard, deer will go through and they'll mow the plants like pretty far down, eating the leaves. But they don't want the fruit. They want the leaf. And so I'm going to have to keep them out this year so that we can have a good harvest. But anyway, so I didn't want him up there for one thing to eat the leaves, and then I so this isn't going to help that. I'm still going to have to supervise him. But I thought I had a planter at the end of the deck there, and every time he'd see a dog come down the alley, he'd go scurf, 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 scurf. You know, I don't know why. Dogs
Was
get
it with
excited.
his front paws or his all four?
I
But
think
he was
all
scratching
four,
soil
but
all over the place.
definitely kicking the back legs.
Yeah.
And so there's, the potting soil, there's nothing hardly left in that planter anymore because he just kicked it all over the place. And so I thought, I had visions of him up there on the tomatoes doing that script thing and tomato plant parts flying all over the place, right? So then I thought, okay, I'm going to have to change that so that, if he gets to that corner, then they won't be there because I'm keeping the plants out, the big ones, and I'm taking the little ones inside for the night just because they're lighter, and I could leave them out, but I may as well take them in, and then they can get the east window sun in the morning. So that way, that back part will be free, and that's where he'd like to go, is the corner there to scriff. So that should be all right. And plus, I was worried because I put the apple peels and the cores out in the garden right there, because the deer like to eat them. So I thought, okay, the deer is going to eat the apples, and then they're going to look over and say, "Ooh, I can reach that those tomato plants if I stick my head through and I don't know how far they could actually stick their head through the bars. Probably not very far. I was envisioning, Jerome the giraffe sticking his head right through, but I don't think their heads are actually bigger than the rails, so I don't think they could stick their noses through and just nibble just the stuff on the edge. So then I decided, okay, well, I'll put the poinsettia at the edge there, and luckily Elvis hasn't went after that, because that would be bad, I think. But anyway, so I still have to watch Elvis, but at least if he does go tearing up there, he's not going to scriff all the tomato plants all over the place. So that's my logic. I think it's okay. So that's what I did this morning. Then we went for a hike.
Busy.
Yeah.
It was easily a 2-hour hike.
Yeah. All right. So you're going to talk now about your books. I'll let you know.
5 minutes?
Oh no, 1 minute and 27 seconds. It's not even worth it. What are you going to say about them in 1 minute and 27
Not much.
seconds?
You said tune in tomorrow.
Okay, you want me to just turn it off then?
Yeah.